How does heel drop affect the way you run? And how can I use that to my advantage?
Hey guys, it's JP, and this time I'm going to talk more about heel drop. I actually talked about this over a year ago, but based on the recent questions I've been getting, I want to make a new video on this. So this time we'll talk about the differences between running with a shoe with a high drop versus running with a shoe with a zero drop, or considered a barefoot shoe, and how you can use that knowledge to find the best running shoe for you. Now, let's get started.
First, let's go over what heel drop is. When people talk about this, they're actually talking about the heel to toe drop. This is the amount of difference between the height of the heel region of the shoe to the height of the toe region of the shoe. To help you understand this better, let's look at some heels. There is a big difference between the height of the heel region to the height of the toe region. Therefore, this would technically be considered a high drop shoe. Just to note that this was just an example and you won't typically see this big of a drop in an actual running shoe. Now, let's look at the other side of the spectrum and look at the zero drop or barefoot shoes. Since there is no height difference between the heel and toe region, this would be considered a zero drop shoe. It is important to take note that this is just referring to the difference between the heel and toe region of the shoe and not how much cushioning there is from the ground to the foot. The amount of cushioning from the ground to the foot is known as stack height, which we can go over another time. Now that we covered the difference between a high drop and a zero drop shoe, let's talk about how it affects the way you run. To keep it simple, the heel drop of a shoe can affect the interaction between the foot and the ground, most notably when the foot begins to get in contact with the ground. When you run with a shoe with a higher drop, let's say 10 millimeters, this may cause you to land closer to the back part of the foot or heeled region. By doing so, this may redistribute forces away from the ankle and foot region and more toward the knee and hip region. This may be helpful for someone who has increased irritability in the Achilles or ankle region, as it may take some pressure away from it. On the other side, if you are running with a zero drop shoe, this may cause you to land closer to the toe or forefoot region. By doing so, this may redistribute forces away from the knee and hip region and more toward the ankle and foot. This may be helpful for someone who has increased irritability in the knees as they run, as this may take some pressure off of them. Also, there are plenty of other factors to consider too, like terrain. When running on trails, you may notice people running more with a lower drop shoe. This is because landing closer to the toe or forefoot region may be helpful when navigating rocky or uneven terrain. Since there are more bones and joints closer to the toe region, this helps the foot adapt to that terrain. Now remember, this information is simply to help guide you in finding the right shoe for you. It is not just about heel drop. There are many parts of the shoe and the interaction of these parts are important. This is why I highly recommend actually taking the shoe out for a run and see how it feels. Your body will give you clues on whether it is a good shoe for you.
And that's some insight on how heel drop affects the way you run. I hope you found this useful. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you shared this with another runner or coach that would enjoy this too. And as always, thank you for watching.